proudly presenting Solomon Islands. Please welcome the Solomon Islands traditional musicians to the stage of the nations.
Welcome to the Solomon Islands Pavilion. My name is Gareth Porrawai. I am the team leader product marketing for Tourism Solomons. So the Solomon Islands was discovered by a Spanish explorer, Alvaro de Ventana de Nera, in 1568. How the Solomons got its name was shortly after landing, he discovered some alluvial gold, which he believed to be part of the riches from King Solomon's mine. This is the biblical King Solomon, hence the name Solomon Islands. This picture just depicts your normal, everyday in one of the lagoons. The most known lagoon for having the artificial islands is the Lagalanga Lagoon in Malaita province. And so what it is these little islands that are built in the middle of the lagoon. How it's usually done is a sandbar is usually found, and they just pile a bunch of rocks on there. You can have some islands which are quite large, like Busso Island in the Lagalanga Lagoon, which hosts quite a large community. And you can have some which are small that host just a single house. Because what happened in these regions were, during the headhunting days or tribal warring days, people from the mainland, to escape, they had to come to the ocean. So the Solomon Islands is an archipelago of nearly 1,000 islands that's located in Oceania. These guys are called a bride price ceremony. These guys are from province of the Solomons, which is called Malaita province. So what you've got is you've got the bride there looking pretty. She's got her young coconut shoot there, which depicts that this family is going to grow as the coconut does. This is the groom. He's got some of the shell money, which is paid similarly like a dowry to the bride's family. It is not purchasing the bride. It is more like you're compensating the tribe for the removal of such a helpful member of the tribe. And that's just a smaller version of them. Now, one of the most famous features of the Solomons is this guy here. He's called a nguzu, made out of Solomon Islands queen ebony. That wood is only found in the Solomon Islands. You can see he's holding a bird here. So culturally that means that when he's sitting on the bow of the canoe and he's got a bird, he's coming for peace. Now if it were the other way around and he had a skull in his hand, that means he's come to make war. So this is the tomoko. It's primarily a mode of transportation. This of course is a miniaturized version. We've got some long ones. I mean, they're usually quite large. Some of the bigger ones that have been recorded are about the length of this hall. They used to transport people from the western province from one island to the other. When warring parties set out, you'd have about 5 or 6 of these, each one containing 20 to 30 warriors in them. And that's where you'd see that nguzu that I explained earlier. He would be affixed to the bow here, and you just have to look out what he was holding onto, whether it was the bird or the skull, to know what he's coming for. This guy here is supposed to be a tuna. This is actually a vessel to carry human remains. It's used by the people from the Makiro province in the Solomon Islands. The remains of the chief would be put in a little compartment in this. So that's what this little door here is. You usually open it and you would have the chief's remains in there. This would remain near the family house. So this handsome young man over here is a non-initiated member of the Makiro province. You can see he doesn't have his facial scarifications yet, which he usually gets upon initiation. But the way he's dressed, it looks like he's on his way to get that initiation done, where he'll get the scars put in. This is just a dancing stick. This down here just depicts the tohi, or the custom house, where the initiation would take place. This is a drum. This is called an o'o, mainly for traditional dancing. So it's hollowed out, you can see there. And it has soft beating sticks, because if they're too hard, you will crack it. So culturally, we have some larger ones. Similar to some African societies, we use the drums as a form of communication as well. So within island groups that are close enough, within a few nautical miles, say if a chief passes away or a member of the tribe that has relatives from the other island group passes away, they'll beat the larger drums which can be heard on the other island. This is from the Tumotu province in the Eastern Solomons. It's a headrest. Back 200 years ago, we didn't have pillows. And we just sleep mainly on the ground. But to keep your head off the ground, this is what would be used. This is a ceremonial bowl from Makirulau province. So this would usually contain either gifts or food for a feast, and would be carried by members of the tribe. Just two more heads here, and this one here on your right, again, is made out of Solomon Island queen ebony. That species of ebony is only found in the Solomons. In Africa, you've got the king ebony. So it's a protected wood. So what happens is a lot of the carvers, they just find petrified bits of the wood that have fallen or have been felled earlier, and they make these carvings out. The inlay there that you see is often made from either different color lip shell or nautilus. So how important wood is to the Solomons? It's extremely important. I mean, not just for carvings like this. About 90% of the Solomons still lives via subsistence agriculture and fishing. And wood plays a major role in the production of their tools, whatever they need, building houses. It's also decorative, of course, and for firewood as well. In more modern times, it's used as the round logs and the export of sawn timber, probably the greatest contribution to the Solomon Islands GDP. We're a small, developing island nation, so of course we've got challenges. There's poverty, there's the reliance on imported food that's often fatty or sugary, and that's led to quite a high number of non-communicable diseases in the islands. I think Solomon Islands ranks quite high up there. Another challenge is quite a number of other ones very similar to the story that we've got. Our carbon footprint is very small, but we are actually, bearing the worst of global warming. We've lost 5 islands in the last 15 years, and that's through no doing of our own. So I think that's something that needs to be taken into account, is the impact it's having on innocent bystanding nations. It's very important for small island nations as ourselves. We must be sustainably minded, because there are limitations to the resources that we do have, so we must sustain them to be able to continue to use them and to enjoy them.